Hello everybody. I am live on Twitch and on YouTube this evening. I've been trying to run these streams on on Twitch lately, but since I'm not a regular there, it hasn't been like the best platform here. I'm trying to fix my camera, who is trying to follow me around now. But anyway, I'm trying to different streams, different services. I don't know why my camera is ignoring me now. I know I look silly. Anyway, trying different streams, different services, see where people want to hang out and where people want to watch this. I am working on my Iron Man helmet, otherwise known as OASIS, working on this project to see if I can get USB cameras working properly, where before I was just using CSI cameras. Tonight I'll be doing development using my NVIDIA Jetson Orin AGX platform. Let me make sure I have up my chats here so I can see what is going on. Let's see here. There's Twitch. There's chat. So if you're watching, thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming here this evening. Let me try this real quick. I do have one thing I'm trying to set up properly. This is kind of a new streaming setup for me. So if you have any comments, about the music or the setup or the cameras or anything that I'm using, please let me know. Please let me know if it's not quite to your liking or not quite what we want to do. Am I streaming what I think I'm streaming? That's the good question. Let me see here. Yeah, okay, there we go. I was not live on my YouTube stream and it was kind of confusing me. So anyway, I think I have everything set up here. I've got Twitch going in one and YouTube going in the other. I've got to get the chat a little bit more organized than what I have here. I'm going to pop out this chat and see if this makes it easier on me. Anyway, got multiple windows open here, so if you'll excuse me while I try to get everything organized for a good live stream. Obviously not my first rodeo, but it may look like it since I have not really got this configured the way I need it to for streaming to multiple platforms at this point. And one last thing. Let me bring up my camera controller. Turn that off. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. All right. Anyway, going to be doing some live development here, and we're going to see how that goes. It's been going great the past other times that I've done this. If you are new to development, we're going to be coding in C, C++ on the NVIDIA Jetson platform again. This is with my OASIS codebase, which is completely open source. You can find the source of this on GitHub under the OASIS project. I do need to put those links down in the description of this, but it should be easy to find. Anyway, please subscribe to this channel, this Twitch stream, or the OASIS project YouTube channel as well, where I hope to stream these in the future when I have enough subscribers there to do these live streams. Anyway, I think that is it for now. Let me minimize this. Again, hopefully everything is coming in loud and clear. Looks like it is. So let's just get to work. Let me show you exactly where we left off last time, and then we'll go from there. So switching over to my desk camera, let me show you what we have set up. So desk camera. So I have two of these ELP global shutter cameras. I got the lens cap on them for this evening. Let me go ahead and take those off. Again, here is the two. These are global shutter cameras, which are really nice because they have less tearing. It's just better for AR, VR. These are brand new cameras I got. They are capable of 1080p at 90 frames per second, which is fantastic for what we're doing. And they are relatively small. Kind of a big footprint on the PCB, but the depth of these cameras is rather nice. So I'm going to show you what my development environment here. We'll make sure everything is still running from last time. If you're in any of the chats, please feel free to chat with me. I do have those up in my window here so I can participate, and I will answer any questions as we're going. Hey, Yui. We'll call you Yui. Hey, Yui, how you doing? Good to see you on the YouTubes. Thanks for joining. So let's go over to the main screen here. Yep. And I will go ahead. We don't want to launch that. Let's go and launch the entire display. So this is the code I worked on last time. We're running the Mirage program, which is the heads-up display portion of the OASIS project. You see I have the new code in here for the USB, and the -F is for full screen. Again, if there's any problem seeing any of this, if it's too small, if I need to go bigger on the fonts, please let me know. Again, I'm new to doing live coding, so if any of this isn't working out for you, please let me know. So that, and then I switch over to the Jetson, which should bring up this UI. There it is. And there we go. So this is the interface that I brought up last time. And it is working great. You can see these are two independent cameras because I can move one. Let me switch these to the right side so I know what's going on. But you can see these two USB cameras. They are independent of one another, and they are two separate interfaces. So you have stereo vision on this, which is really cool. Not bringing up the map. I am missing the API keys in the current version I have downloaded, but you can see this works. There's my live stream. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you, that we had it all working last time. Shut that down now. Switch back over to the main screen where I'm doing the software development. And where were we? So last time, I'm sure this is still up here. So in my defines file, we're using something called GStreamer. GStreamer is a wonderful tool that you can use to make video pipelines. You go all the way through a video pipeline from, in this case, the camera source, in this case CSI, if it's a CSI camera, or down here, it's a video for Linux source, if it's a USB camera. You set up the formats, the width, the height, the frame rate, everything that goes into that GStreamer stream. You can do video conversions to make sure it's in the right mode, or to do any flipping that you need to of that video frame. You can switch it to different color formats. So in this case, since we're rendering to a monitor, quite often in our case, it's RGB or RGB alpha in our case. We have a queue here that handles some of the buffering. And then we have what's called an app sync. And this app sync basically says that we're taking it into an application, and when we take it into the application, that's where my application, my heads-up display, takes over the process. And when it takes over the process, that is where I do all the frame rendering. I do any, I'm doing some software side where I make sure that the left and right frame are synced properly so that you don't have any tearing of like something gets behind or something gets ahead. And that's all handled there as well. So one thing I want to do, the next thing I wanted to do was, I've already got this fix me note right here. I hope it's not too hard to read. And this fix me note here, hey Maker Viking, thanks for joining. Maker Viking just joined on the Twitch stream. Thanks for jumping in. So anyway, we've got, you see I've got two streams here. There's actually one for the left eye, which is this part, and then there's one for the right eye. And then the same thing for the USB version. There's the one for the left eye and the right eye. UEU Anims ask, do I have any good resources for learning this kind of programming? Well, I learned back in the day where I had to learn from a book, and then I learned in college what I didn't know from the books. These days, there's a ton of online resources for learning C programming. If I was going to learn this type of programming, I would probably start with something like a Arduino of some sort. An Arduino kit uses C programming. It's a little bit different than what you might use under Linux, but it's a fantastic way to get going with the little embedded hardware and to see if this is something that you want to keep going with because it's a lot of fun. So they make these Arduino kits you can get like on Amazon that includes a little microcontroller board, as well as it includes sample source code that you can play with. It includes a bunch of sensors and different outputs like LEDs and motors and things. And that's a fantastic way to get going with embedded programming. And then from there, you can move over to Linux, but I would kind of take that as like a second level. Or you can watch streams like this. I hope that I'm going to be able to kind of get you familiar with the process and show you kind of what this looks like from a, like, what it looked like when you're really doing it perspective. All right. So what I was saying is I've got a left and a right eye for both, but there's actually quite a bit of duplicated part of these pipelines. And as I put here, basically, I don't like the fact that I've got a lot of duplication in code. Anytime you have duplication in code, it can probably be simplified or reused. And so what I've got here is I've got the CSI pipeline and I've got the USB pipeline, and I could pull this apart, come with a complicated system of the different pieces and how I want to put it together. But I actually find when parsing a bunch of text that humans are not more or less not the best at. And so when the humans are parsing text, we can screw it up. It's a little easier for us to mangle text processing. So this is when I will very often pull in an AI. And so I've already done this part. All right. So I've already done this part where I wanted to ask AI if it could handle this for me. So I cut and pasted. This one here is ChatGPT. And what I wanted to do here is be able to cut and paste in some of my code, right? And then I wanted it to come up with a good technique on how to paste these pieces of code together. All right, so I asked ChatGPT to do it, and then I also asked Claude AI to do it. Claude is one I'm using more and more. I'm a big fan of Claude for programming. I find that it actually does a better job. Of coding. And so I've been using Claude for coding lately. But I passed this question to both of them. I have subscriptions to both, so in this case, I just wanted to try them both out. ChatGPT's version, using 4.0, created a USB and then a sync, and then it kind of assembled it just barely, breaking it down more than I had it. It's more just like a left and a right sync. And so it wasn't my favorite way of processing this. I don't think it did a particularly good job. So I looked at the Claude's version, and I thought it did a much better job. So without going through all of it, we can just look at the code and I'll kind of explain what it came up with. So it says that this is the output pipeline, which is absolutely right for all the streams. This is the back half of the stream, and it's the same in all cases. And then we have the CSI input and the USB input. And I think this is how I would have coded this myself if I would have coded it from scratch. So this is much more, again, liking Claude's approach to a lot of these things. And then what it did is it wrote a function that builds the pipeline stream and then passes that stream back to the calling function. So you give it the description, the size, the type of camera we're doing. So in this case, cam type is going to be CSI or USB. And then we have to pass in one of my data structures that it uses to build this pipeline. And using this, we end up with a lot cleaner version of these that are more compartmentalized. So we're gonna do that now. I'm gonna come in here. Let me bring up these putty sessions here. And one thing I want to do, since I was kind of happy where we were with this piece of code, let me see what I've done. So again, I added the new pipeline. And then I had to do some ifs in here to code for either passing in a CSI pipeline or a USB pipeline. And I did the command line parsing as well. So that's all in here. Now, I don't really want to add this yet. I don't want to commit this yet, because this might be something that if I fat finger something or if I screw something up, this is my last working copy. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a git add on defines, and I'm going to do a git add on Mirage. And so that'll give me kind of a save point that this is a good place to come back to. And then let me go ahead and let's start where we were. Let's go to the git defines, and we're going to break this down. Basically, what I want to get to tonight, just giving you a summary, what I'm getting to tonight is I really want to get this portion of code working this evening with the changes. And then if I have some time left over, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to work to where I can duplicate one camera input across two eyes. Again, right now this requires two cameras. You have to have a left camera and a right camera. That's just because that's the way the code was written. But I would like to have an option of, if only one camera is present, or if they pass in an option for only one camera, it just duplicates that camera on both eyes, which will make development, testing, all that kind of stuff easier for other people. I want as many people to use this project as possible. So anytime I can add more functionality to Mirage, to the OASIS project, hopefully opening the door to more people testing this out, because the hardware barrier of entry isn't quite as high. All right. Anytime I'm talking too much or anything, just remember you're on a live stream. All right. So we're going to pull this in here. Just go add it down here. Let's grab just these portions. And that should cut and paste into there. Okay, so this is the common output portion. And this is the input portion of the CSI. And I can double check this just to make sure it's right. So NVIDIA, but I pretty much trust its text processing. It doesn't usually get this one too wrong. Video width, height, NV12, frame rate, and then a flip option. All right. And then we test the output, which is XRAW, leaky 2, app sync, and then the sync name. And notice here it's only got one output. Since the output was just duplicated, we don't need two different outputs. We can have one, and we just change the L or the R in the name, and it accomplishes the same purpose. And then we have the the USB input, which again uses two different. This one you pass in the sensor ID. This one you pass in the video input ID number, and again you're passing in the. Looking at format MJPEG. Yep. Frame rate, width, height, and VCOM. Yeah, I think it got this right. All right. So since I already did my add, I should be able to just clear these out now. We will reuse some of these later. I can't get rid of my fix me yet, because actually my fix me applies to a lot of GStreamer pipelines here that I need to consolidate as well. So we're going to get back to those later. All right, so this should consolidate those. Now let's go ahead into the Mirage code. And right above the video processing thread where it assembles these pipelines, we will add this new helper function that it generated. Sorry, too many windows here, obviously. So we'll copy and paste that into there, and I'm going to just double check this function, make sure I'm happy with it. I'm going to assume that the left and right pipeline sizes are roughly correct. It is using an S in printf, so it will not overflow those as long as we're passing in the size. And the size we're passing in size of, so we're not going to overflow those. That should be just fine. And then we pass in, yeah, it's pretty good. We'll pass in the description, the size, the cam type, and then that HDS. So let's see how, that should be pretty easy to pass in here. And you'll notice that this function is what's doing our cam type option of either being a CSI or it just put an else here for USB. I've already checked to see if USB or CSI was passed in as the only two valid options. Give me 1 second. I'm just checking my stream qualities, making sure that we are streaming what I think we are here. We are. All right. And then on, yep. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, we're doing some coding tonight. We're getting the heads-up display a little bit more versatile and supporting some new hardware. All right. So let's see if this works here. So this function looks like this, and so I'm just going to cut and paste that. Yep, we're going to cut and paste that. We're going to come down here, and like I said, it does this cam type thing, so we don't actually need to process that here. This returns a void, so we assume everything goes to plan. It's going to pass in the descript, so we just need to pass that in, which is already a pointer. We've already said the size of this is 1024, but we're gonna take their lead there and do a size of this to make sure that it passes it in properly. All right, the cam type we're gonna pass in just the way it is. They've actually made this very easy on me because these are the same variables I'm using, and this HDS is also already a pointer, so we just pass that in. And that should build the pipeline, set everything up. Yeah, I think we're good. It probably took my 512 as just, hey, half of it's going to be one stream and half of it's going to be the other. So I think we're good there. And then it's going to launch that pipeline based on the description, which is the GStreamer pipeline. I'm going to double check this one more time, how it came up with everything. Again, it's got the left camera for 0 and L, right camera for 1 and R, and then this uses 0 and 2 for the right camera. This will probably need to make configurable in case their cameras populate as something slightly different. All right, that should be it. This should be all that needs to be done, and then down here it just takes the left and the right eye and it puts them together. All right, let's give that a shot. If all goes well, make should just make. Should be no warnings or anything. Oh. Cam input width is something not a structure or union, this HDS. Ah, okay. Let's see. So, I know what happened here. Let me make sure. I pass a pointer to that. Not struct. HDS struct. Is that not right? Oh, I don't think it knew what it was called. Okay, that's what it was. It doesn't know what the type of that was. So let's update that. Yeah, that's what it was. It did not have that type right. That is a display settings type. Yeah, that should work. See if that builds. There we go. So now it builds. We run it just the same way we did last time, and it should just work as long as those pipelines get built correctly. We can't test the CSI version on the platform I'm on, the AGX. I don't have the CSI adapter plugged in, so what we're doing on here is just USB. I'll have to try the CSI version on my other hardware when I have it available to me. Let's go ahead back over to the Jetson, see if that runs. Here we go. And we've got, look there, cameras, much nicer text processing there, much more readable code. It's going to be easier to maintain that way. And that looks fantastic. All right, that's what I wanted to see. All right, let's shut that down and switch back over to my main screen. All right, so I'm real happy with how that turned out. Yeah, let me see, am I happy with the comments? I'll probably just have it, since it just generated this code, go ahead and ask it to generate a function header for this new function. They said they were heavy usage this evening, so let's see. There it goes. Sure did. Yeah, that's all it did. So it builds a complete GStreamer pipeline stream for a stereo camera setup. Function constructs separate pipelines for left and right cameras based on the camera type and combines them for a single pipeline stream. Yeah, okay, I like that. So we're going to go ahead. I like to write good code to begin with, because if we write it that way to begin with, then we're not cleaning it up later. It depends on what kind of mode I'm in. If I'm kind of in a hurry where I'm trying to pump out a lot of code quickly, maybe I'll come back to it, but that works really well. All right. I like that a lot. So thank you, UWU, appreciate it. Thanks for the comments. All right, so now what we're going to do, like I said, I wanted to be able to do a mode where we just duplicate a single camera across both eyes. Now, this is a little bit more complicated than you may think. And it's because, so I think in a perfect world, or in a world where the GStreamer was a little bit more friendly, it would be great if I could go into my defines and actually, yeah, it'd be great if I could go to my defines, for example, and just pass like 0 to both of the CSI inputs, or pass 0 into both of the USB inputs. But the way that most of these drivers are written, that's not gonna work, because the driver's not gonna let me open the device twice. There may be some fun trickery we could do where we would like name this source input and then do a split. That's another option. But I think it's probably not the way we want to go, because if we do it that way, it's going to create 2 pipelines. It is going to require more resources from the system, so it is not as resource friendly as it could be. It's easier to code, but it's not as resource friendly, because when you only have one input, why don't you take that input and just copy it? That should be less resources, because you're just going to take that frame that's already been generated and duplicate it. So I think that is going to be better. Like I said, it's not as resource friendly. So some of the code I was kind of the most proud of writing when I wrote this software was the software sync that I have between the left and the right eye. One of the tricks to wearing VR or AR goggles is that you need the left and the right eye to be synced at all times. You don't want the left eye to get out of sync with it, because it could make you ill, it could make you dizzy, it could just make the experience really wonky, because your left and the right eye are not seeing the same thing at the same time. And so, like I was saying, one of my favorite pieces of code I wrote was the piece of code that synced those in software by taking the time sync. The PTS is what it's called. It's taking that time source from both the left and the right eye, and if they're not the same, then we either play catch up or we fall back, depending on which eye we're using as our control. And again, I don't remember every detail of this algorithm that I wrote. It's been quite some time now. But you'll see here, it does this catch-up thing, where it catches up between the buffers. And again, if we're pulling from the same eye, we also don't need this catch-up code. Technically, the catch-up code wouldn't do anything wrong, but it's not needed if your left and the right eye are the same video source. And this, you see all this, there's a lot of system copying here. I'm not even doing a lot of this mapping anymore, I don't think. This was written, and when I wrote it with a lot of if-defs. There's a lot of options here, because I was coding things with a lot of different methods, because I wasn't sure what was going to be the fastest way to do it on the Jetson. So let me see what I've got here. I need to see which ones of these are turned on, because I'm not sure anymore. So is NVIDIA mapping turned on? It's not turned on in here. So let me go down here and see if it's turned on anywhere. No, it is not turned on. That NVIDIA mapping code is not turned on. I don't think it's needed. I don't know if that means I want to remove it yet. Is it sure? So if I don't have it, yeah, I don't think I actually need that code, and if so, it'll be in my history at this point. But yeah, I don't think that, let me make sure. That's not turned on anyway. I want to be very sure that I'm not using that. Yeah, okay, so there, it's only if-defs at this point. I'm not using it. I'm happy with the performance. I'm going to remove it for now. It's still in my Git history if I ever needed to bring it back for any reason. So I'm going to pull it out to make the code simpler to read. That should be it. I'm going to do my git diff. Actually, I should have done a git add already, but pull out the complicated ones, have the simpler ones. Looks like I've got an extra space there I don't need, which is that red blob there. That's that new function I wrote. If-def cleaned up, called the new function. If-def cleaned up, if-def cleaned up. I'm happy with that. I will make sure that it builds properly. Alright, still builds. And then I will get status. Let's go ahead and add those, because this is another good place. Since it's working, it's a good stop along the way to store it. Alright. Let's go ahead and look at that function, that Mirage function, one more time. Because I want to see... So, I want to see the best way to do this video processing thread. Do I want to make one video processing thread that's got ifs and conditionals based upon whether you're doing one eye or two? Or do I want two video processing threads, one for a single eye, or excuse me, a single video source, and one for two video sources? Let me look at what has to change here. So LNR buffers. So if I do this as a conditional, I'm already using the single arg I have as CSI or USB. So I can't overload that arg. I can't add a second arg because it's a pthread, which already has a defined parameter selection. I could turn it into a struct and pass in more than one thing into this function. It's a bit overkill. Not too bad, but I could. Or I could set some sort of environment variable, a global variable in this function. That's the easiest and laziest way to do it, but it gets you there a little bit faster. So that's the pipeline. Sync L and sync R. It's just going to be sync if it's just a single one. I'm going to start kind of like coding it. So let's do the lazy way to start with. I can always change it. So if I just said like an int single cam. Sure, it's a single cam now. All right, so if it's a single cam, that means we're only going to need one pipeline. So we could modify this one to only create a single pipeline, like a left or a right. So this all of a sudden would have a, well, we've already said that single cam is a global. I'd rather pass it into here for now in case I want to change the way I want to use it. So we can just say int single cam. I'm going to give it a different name because I'm scared to not give it a different name in it. So let's see. Okay, so this I'd pass it in. It would generate only one. It would generate one based upon whether I need one or two. Trying to figure out the best way to put the if, because I could put the if inside or outside. Inside, I think, is a little cleaner. So, for example, if single cam local. Ugh, I still don't have my Vim environment set up right. I apologize, everyone. Because, so now I need... okay, and then set, tab stop. My tab stop should actually be 3, I think. It's kind of annoying, because that means that one's not tabbed correctly. I need to re-tab this. I don't have an indent thing yet either on this, so there's some things I still need to do. This is a new development side for me. So if cam type, yep, okay, if single cam. So we're going to need to then write the single cam version. If it's not the single cam, then it's a dual cam, which gives us this version again. And that looks candidate type ready. Okay. I'm sorry about fixing tabs. I'll get this better again for future live streams, because I don't think anyone wants to watch me tab up my file properly. I may even switch to developing using like VS Code just to make things a little bit more visible. But we go. Yep. Yep. We gotta do the same thing down here. Yep. I don't even like this name, single cam local, but again, when you're prototyping some of this stuff, you'll come back and make it prettier later. But I don't think this is going to be too bad. We may just do it this way. I don't know why it thinks I always want to create a new one. That's a bit annoying. And then this, and this, and then that. All right. All right, single cam. So if it's single cam, what we're going to do is we're only going to do this part. We only need the left eye version. All right. And when we only do the left eye version, what we're going to do is just do nothing for the sync name, which will just make the sync called sync, which will be kind of nice. All right. And then we're going to do the same thing down here for the camera pipeline. Just take the left eye, put it in here as well. Again, we're going to pull out the L because we won't need it. And then, if we could do this in a dirtier way, but I'm going to try to do it kind of in the like full disclosure kind of way, where I'm showing exactly what I'm doing. And so if it's a single cam, it is going to be different than that, and what we're going to do is just copy over the left pipeline and not the right. Okay. So that should be real clean and straightforward. Now we have the left pipeline separate from the right pipeline. All right. And then, so that's going to construct the pipeline. We're going to pass in single cam here, which is that global variable that I'm using for now. Again, I don't think I'll use that forever. But now we have the single cam being passed in there as the last option. Yep. All right. And after the single cam, we're going to get syncs, but this is where it gets like, I'm going to code it this way because I think it'll be relatively easy to code. It just, there's going to be a lot of ifs here, and so I don't think I'm going to like all of the ifs. And then I could use possibly AI to clean up all of my ifs once I have figured out the logic. Now, don't get me wrong, AI might be able to figure AI might be able to figure out the whole thing. I could have told AI what I'm trying to do, but then I'm going to be left debugging AI's code, and I kind of like, but I kind of like the idea of coding it myself and not having to debug AI. So we're going to do that. What we did earlier, we're going to do, single cam. So if single cam, we're going to do one thing. Else, we're going to do what we've always done. Hey Zulu, Zinlu, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. All right, and then And then we're just going to do just a sync L, but that's only going to be sync now, because that's what we're passing back. Alright, so that's going to play it. We don't need to unmap these buffers. I don't think I have any memory holes at this point, so we're going to get rid of those as well. A little bit of code cleanup as we're going through here. Is sync R defined with a... Yeah, sync R is already null. So we can kind of do some cool stuff here. I mean, we can still key off of single cam, but we can also key off of whether sync L is, or sync R is null. Yeah, so this is our main loop. This is the main loop where we're doing the video processing. So in this main loop of this GStreamer handling, where it's grabbing buffers and unmapping buffers, we need to handle whether we're using the right buffer or not. So if sync R, which means if it's not null, all right, we're good there. Same thing again. If, and again, I will go back, I will reconsolidate as I need to. A lot of this could be moved up and consolidated. The way I wrote it was logically correct, but when we start adding a bunch of ifs in here, it may make more sense to logically move this around differently than I had before. So that's going to do that. There's the left sample. If sync R. Alright, that's going to be the right sample. Okay. Yeah, probably reconsolidate a lot of this. And then if we have a buffer now, we're going to convert it to a pixbuff, which is fantastic. This part, though, isn't going to convert as easily. Because you see, this one actually depends on us having two buffer. This whole code block here requires that we have both of our buffers, because this is doing a lot of debugging the buffers, the mapping, posting that we're ready. Yep. Tells you if we're catching up or not. Yeah. So I think this portion of code I'm going to have to do a big if around the whole thing and come back to, because this is the part where if we're only doing a sync L or a sync R, you don't need all of this logic. So we're going to do the same thing here. If sync R, meaning we have two buffers, we need all of this code. And then I will use a little trick here to find the end of this one to make sure I'm using the right one. Should be this one. Yeah. All right. So please excuse me, all of my indent is going to be a little off here until I go in and fix it. Let's move this up here because it applies to all of it. But then I'm going to just grab all of this and we're going to yank it and we're going to put it in here, and then I'm going to clean it up for the single Pix version. Yeah. All right, so as long as I have this one, which may or may not be necessary, we definitely don't have the R. This is the sync code with the debug. So while the PTS equals the PTS, unref, yeah. So we don't need all of this catch-up code. I think the whole thing can go. Yeah, I think we can get rid of this whole thing. See, this makes the whole thing a lot shorter because you're not having to handle the left and the right frame sync. And then we don't need this buffer because, again, we don't need to compare the PTSs. We don't have them both. We don't have a right buffer. Yeah, that should be it. So you took that whole chunk of code down to this when we only have a left frame or a right frame. All right, so that's a lot cleaner. So if we have a pixbug, we get the pixbug. That code we didn't change. So I think this function is done actually. But now we just need to handle the fact that we're copying over to this buffer, which is I think the same buffer we're using down below. Let's find out. Is that the buffer that it's... Nah. It is not. Because if I go to next here, it just circles back around. So it's not buffer. Where are we copying those to? Is it map L? There it is. Yeah, I think this is it, because this is all the way down inside of our master function. Yeah, is that it? So this portion of code, I don't think I'm using this OD proper weight either. Let me bring up my other window. All right. Yeah, we're not using OD proper weight. I'll have to handle it because I actually like that code. It was a different way of doing weighting for my buffers to be ready, but it turned out to be slower. I like it. It's good code, and that's why there's still an ifdef around it. I didn't know if I'd ever come back to it, but here we are. So those are all of our maps. Yep, those are globals, because we use them across functions here, and then there's a semaphore that we use to sync them. Yep, and we post this video posted around here. Yep, alright. Yep, that's where our video posted is. Set HL search so that we see what we're searching for. So there's the two map L's and there's the two map R's. So what I'm looking for now is, so I'm already using the single cam just as an override at this point. Alright. We're gonna skip the OD proper weight for now. And you'll notice here what we do. If OD process is 1, OData R process is 1. Where do I even set that process? That's not something I remember doing. Where am I setting that? You write code a long time ago, you're like, I don't remember what that does. In this case, oh, that's just saying that I've processed that frame already. I know why I have that. So that if frames are being duplicated, or if we're playing catch up, or if we're behind or something, this makes it where that frame only gets processed one time. Okay. Yeah, this is just handling whether we duplicate frames. Got a question. UW Annam says, I'm designing a Pi 5 based Iron Man helmet, and I'm thinking of putting a few IR ray sensors inside the decor pieces to give it thermal overlay of the camera. Do you mean thermal overlay or just IR? You mean thermal or... Yeah, I guess thermal is infrared. Yeah, okay. I've IR, putting a few IR array sensors. Yeah. I've actually worked on a little bit of that myself. I have a couple of I've got one inexpensive IR camera that I plan on putting in my helmet eventually as an overlay. Just keep in mind, the reason I haven't done it on Pi is Pi doesn't really have enough processing to do a lot of things at one time, so keep that in mind. As you're testing this out, as you're trying to figure out how to do a lot in the Pi at the same time, keep in mind you may run out of resources. I haven't played much. I have a Pi 5, but I haven't played much with it, so I don't know, compared to like a Pi 4, what its capabilities are. All right. I think for now, just to see if we can get this working really quick, I think I'm going to come in here and do that if single cam. We'll do that here, because we're going to do this a little bit different if we only need a single camera. Again, we'll do a lot of cleanup once it works. I just want to do a proof of concept this evening. I'm going to try to go till about midnight here and then be done for this evening. Got work tomorrow as usual. So if it's not a single cam, we're going to do all this great stuff. Probably should have already committed what I just finished to CVS, excuse me, to CVS. What year is it? To Git before I started this. I was already doing the ads, but I probably should have gone ahead and done a quick Git commit, but whatever. All right. So if we're only doing a single cam, we only want the left. We don't need the right. And then we don't need all of the rights here as well. Okay. Should be pretty easy. We can go ahead and move. Again, we can reconsolidate things later. I know why. I'm not going to do it now. I mean, for something like this, and I could have just done this above here as well. I kind of like this idea. I could have done this earlier. I could have done this in this section. Maybe I'll change it. Let's change it. I like this better, I think. Let me leave it. I'm going to sit and second guess myself. That's fine. Let's just do it that way. Okay. So this is what I was thinking. Basically, for the right eye, you can just do, if not single cam. You know what we can do at this point? This may be the last step of the whole process right here. What if we do this? Come in here and we say if single cam else, and then we'll do it this way. Yank 1, Yank that down. Okay, so if it's a single cam, we're going to map the left camera to the right. And that should be all we need. Actually, it's less complicated than that, because we already have texture L. Why do the copy? Why not just copy R to the right? Yeah, we could do that. So we've already done the texture on the left camera. That should save us some energy. Alright. And then let's find out what we do with did I do that right? No, I did not do that right. Render. Yeah, that is right. We're copying L to the source rectangle to the destination rectangle. Yeah, I think that's right. Live coding. Alright, let's see. Let's go ahead. Just wanted to see how the stream's doing again. Got some people have come in and taking a look at what I've been doing and are like, what the hell are you doing? So, not the usual 3D printing stuff, apparently not as exciting. It's alright, that's why I put a stream title. Alright, so what do we do with this texture R? Because after this, it's kind of supposed to be done, I guess. There's map R. Okay, yep. Okay, where do I set the process then? Because that clearly needs to happen. Yeah, let's deal with that process. I'm hoping that's it. Yeah, and it doesn't even matter if we set both. Like, that's, like, we can set the processed on R all day long. It doesn't matter at all. Because we're not checking it. I wonder if, I'm going to save it. I don't want to compile it there. I'm going to actually compile it in this window since I have all those Vim settings in there. Oh, there's an else that I didn't close properly. 1044. Yeah, I didn't close that one properly. There's that one. I think it just goes right there. Did I do something wrong? Yeah. Probably goes here. I still got to fix my indenting there. Let's see if that fixes it. Okay, that links. So, this is always fun. Let's see what it does. I'm gonna run it. I was running it with Mirage -C USB and -F for full screen. We'll see if it runs. It is starting to run. See what it looks like. They're gonna pop up here. There it goes. Oh, it doesn't like that at all. Could not make snapshot. It's not dead, but it's not happy. Let me show you what it's doing on the main screen. It's just scrolling by here. So something about the way I processed it, I missed something. Not surprising for the first time through. So let's see if we can figure out where it's complaining about. Could not make snap. So my else is wrong here. I probably put that closed parentheses in the wrong place. Alright, let's walk through this and make sure we fix our indenting. So if sync R, again, I need to get a better indenter than this. It would save me time. That's the end of that while. Okay, we got the next while for the sync. So close to having that working the first time. I think I just, when I missed putting in that close bracket, I screwed something up. That's the end of that while for that sync. This is just a print. I'm gonna close that one, close that one. I wonder if that's all it was then. Hold on. That's that. Okay, so what it should be, I think I missed a close bracket here. Because then if I don't even know if I need this lash, could not make snapshot. I don't even actually know what that's doing at this point. It's just if there's no samples. Yeah, that one gets a little... I probably need to do something, but I don't want to... I don't know exactly what it is yet. So let's just do that and say the hell with it. Let's build. Give that a shot again. See if that gets us closer. Okay. Switching back over. There we go. Is it matchy-matchy? Looky there, that's one camera. So if we switch back over to my desk camera, notice I'm only using one of them. The other one's facing that way. So that is working now. We have a single camera input. And it should actually be more... it should be less processor intensive. So there we go. That is very cool. That is a feature I've wanted to implement for a long time. And it looks like I have pulled it off tonight. That's fantastic. Cheers. Now, theoretically, I need to be able to pass in which camera is your single camera, because you could want your camera 1 or your camera 2, but I mean, the options just go crazy when you do things like this. But I'm happy to see that working. That's really cool. So now it could work on a Raspberry Pi where you have only one USB camera. You don't have to have two for stereo anymore. This is pretty cool. Do want to make sure that at some point in time I want to make sure I check memory usage. I will go and watch the memory usage, make sure that everything's happy. Yada, yada, yada. Let me go and quit that. Pops right down. Okay. Again, you're seeing all these scroll download issues. It's because I'm missing my Google key to download the maps. So please ignore those for tonight. I need to get that inserted on here. So, now I need to see what I'm happy with and what I'm not. I've got a few minutes left in this stream, so I can do a little bit of cleanup now that it works. Again, I will want to test the CSI portion of this on my other platform where I'm using the CSI cameras. So this is, again, the NVIDIA Orin AGX, and the garage with the helmet. I still have the Orin NX16. Which is using the CSI cameras, and I can try those again later. One thing I always like to do when I get to this point, I do like to do my get diff, because I find it's a great way to see if you're happy with, you know, the changes you've made. See if there's anything that looks unhappy. Interesting. Also a good time to clean up stupid places that tabs got inserted. I remember seeing one up here earlier I didn't clean up, so I'll clean that up now. And then there's one in this first else. Somehow a tab got inserted there. Alright. And then, of course, we've got a lot of ifs and else's and stuff that we can probably clean up. Still wondering if I want to pass that in differently. Let me see here. And just checking my streams again, guys. Make sure everything's running great. Yep, got 6 viewers on YouTube. Thank you for all sticking around for not my normal 3D printing content, trying to branch out a little bit here. And thank you for everyone watching on Twitch as well. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you're not subscribed yet, if you haven't followed me on the various platforms, please take the time to do so if you can. It's great having you on board for tonight. I hope to do more of these. I hope you find them interesting and educational. Let me see if there's just anything obvious. Again, there's that other. See, anywhere I've put single cam would be a good place to start cleaning up. Yep, there it is. All right. Again, I don't like that single cam because trying to figure out if I want to make it where if it detects a single cam, it does a single camera. That would be rather cool, rather than just but detecting how many cameras you have, I'd have to go through and find out if there's a single call or something, or a way I can check the proc file system to see if there's an easy way to do that. So I think for now, no detection. You pass in, you know, how many cameras you got. So let me go ahead. We'll go ahead and do that with the long options. All right. So with the long options, we can go in here. Camera. Of course, every time you do this, you have to come up with a new name for everything. So, what's a good variable for the number of cameras? I don't think I'm using N yet. Or maybe S. No, I'm already using S for streaming because stereo was what I was thinking. So you could do S for stereo or not. But that's not an option yet either. So let's go ahead. We will do. I guess I can just do N. It doesn't really matter. I don't want to spend a lot of time overthinking it. Hopefully someone will figure out that N is supposed to be for numbers. Okay. N. Number of cameras. Alright. We're going to need to default. I think we're going to default to 2. But if you want 1, you can put 1. So that'll be our default. Okay. I actually need to update. I'll have to update my help file as well, because I don't think I updated it with the camera options either. But let's not get sidetracked. That is going to be after L. These are all out of order. Holy crap, that's messy. I don't know why I decided I didn't need to keep those in the same order. Let's see, F, H. Then it should be L colon here instead of there. Okay. And then this is where N should be. Alright. And then P. And then R, S, T, U, and then what the hell, D? Is D an option? Yeah, D's all the way at the end for device. Again, those are out of order too. I think I could at least keep them in alphabetical order, right? C, D, F, L, N, P, R, S, T, U. Okay. We're going to hope I didn't fat finger any of that and just screw that up for no apparent reason. I put D here. D, F, H, L, N, P, R, S, T, U. Alright. Trying to make things nice. C, F, L, N, P, R, S, T, U. Okay. Just a little bit of pride in the code there. Alright, and then we need N as a new case. L. Alright, this isn't going to be perfect, but let's do it this way. L, N, and then we're going to call it cam count, which is currently a global. Again, I don't know if I'll keep it this way. It's funny because cam count 0 now equals oh, actually it's not cam count. It's single cam. Haha, okay. Whatever. Maybe I'll have 18 cameras on my helmet one day. Okay. We're actually going to do this if A to I oparg equals 1 and single cam to that, else if A to I oparg could do it this way. Yeah, let's do it this way. Sure, why the hell not? Let's do it this way. So if, let's just do a switch statement. Switch an A to I oparg. Then I can support all numbers of cameras later on in life. Might as well, right? So switch on that. We're going to case statement that bad boy. So if a case is 1, I don't know why it doesn't think that that deserves to come to here. Okay, so if case is 1, then single cam equals 1. Break. Case is 2 will be We'll be explicit here. Single cam equals to 0. And then we'll do a default, meaning you didn't put 1 or 2. Then we will say that you did bad things. Fprintf, standard error. That also takes care of the case where optarg isn't a number and they tried to do something weird. Cam count, number of cameras. Must be 1 or 2. Alright. And then we're going to do things badly and without exiting properly. We're just going to return. I don't care. Don't do bad things. A lot of error handling I need at the top of this file. That could be done a little bit better. And that's okay. Okay. I like that. And then I think I need a break. Yep. So we don't fall through when we're processing the case of N. Then, like I said, I think I've got some help text here that I need to process. Yeah, I've got a display help that I need to process properly. Let's see. Am I only missing the two new ones? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 options. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so I'm only missing 2. The order of these don't have to be the same because I like them kind of grouped differently. So like full screen and help can be one, and log file. These are all kind of like, but maybe I'd want to come in here and do let's clean up this a little bit while we're doing it. So I can just do a cleanup here, that'll create an extra line to kind of create separation between these kind of generic ones. Then the record ones are separate. And then some device type stuff can be down here. And I'm going to put the new camera device stuff down here as well. And the new camera device stuff starts with camera. So I'm going to write these correctly. -C, -- camera. And type. Specify. Type it right. Specify the camera type. CSI or USB. Okay. And then we have the other one. And that is N. Which was cam count. Should have been like cam num, but I feel like that just tells you like which number camera. Again, there's more that I'm going to want to add here. I'm going to just put like a number. Maybe that's the way. I don't know if that's standard. Maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know. If you're watching and you have an opinion, please let me know. Specify the, no, it's not 0 or 1. We don't want 0 cameras, at least not right now. Specify the number of cameras for display. All right. Now we have some options. Save that. See if it compiles. Now we should be able to pass this in. Well, let's try the null case. If I pass in nothing, it should still, right now it should be on 1 camera, which is not actually the default that I want, but let's find out. All right. So that is a single camera, so that works. All right, without switching over, I'm just gonna exit that. I guess I'll switch over. And then I will pass -in 1. So that should still work with the single camera. Yep, still single camera. All right. And then we're going to do 2 cameras, which is not complaining. Let's see if it does 2 cameras. If so, these will look very different. There we go. So 2 cameras still work. Awesome. So now this is going to work a lot easier for a lot of people trying to set up HUDs on a Raspberry Pi. So UWU Anims, if you're still hanging out, this is going to come in really handy for you on a Raspberry Pi, because now you can use a single USB camera or a single CSI camera and try to run this. Now, I don't know how well this will run right now, and I actually don't have the pipelines, the GStreamer pipeline set up at the moment. I actually, on another system, I've started playing with the pipelines for the Raspberry Pi, but as of right now, I don't have those ready yet. But I'm getting closer, and this will aid that process. So, hey Brett, thanks for dropping in. As you may be able to tell from the screen, this is using, this current system I'm developing on is the NVIDIA Jetson Orin AGX. And the, I have, my main helmet is running on the Orin NX16. So this will run on the Orin Nanos, it'll run on any of the NVIDIA Jetsons. What I've been working on tonight is just getting the USB camera working instead of only a CSI camera. And now 1 camera works instead of having to have 2 cameras. We just do some duplication here. So switching over to this, again, all my help is set up. Actually, let me test that real quick. Mirage-H should have all my, all my help is there now. I do think I want to add a printf at the end here for cleanliness, because it'll look nicer. UW Anims is asking about NVIDIA's new board. So NVIDIA's new Orin NX, or excuse me, let me say it right. NVIDIA's new Jetson Orin Nano kit, they call it a Super or something like that. It's actually the same as the old kit. They've just released new firmware for it that basically gives it an upclock for free. In fact, you can take the new firmware and actually put it on your existing Orin if you had a previous one. So what they've done is they've taken the Orin kit that was already available, the Orin Nano kit. They have increased the available clock speeds, the available power on that system, and then they've halved the price of it. So now it's $250. The Super Nano, thank you, Brett. Brett mentioned it is called the Super Nano. And it's now got a 25 watt option. On my Nano the Orin NX16 that I use in my helmet, I actually have a 28.1 watt profile that I'm currently using, that I designed myself, because they have configurable power usage that you can do on an Orin, which is amazing. They've got this online configurator. It's absolutely fantastic. All right. Let's go ahead and close this up. So I do want to change single cam's default. I still want it to default to no. And I'm actually going to move this global variable, which I still don't like, because I don't use global variables any more than I have to. Sometimes they're fine. In this case, there's technically nothing wrong with it. I just don't use them any more than I have to. They're sometimes considered sloppy, depending on what you're doing. In this case, it would be better to pass around this variable or put it somewhere else in here. I may even add it to one of these existing data structures that I have here at the top. But I do, if I'm going to at least keep it here for now, then I'm at least going to put it at the top of the file. Does anywhere make more sense than any? Yeah, I guess this section's a little bit nicer. Yeah, here's the video output thread information. Guess we can put it here for now. We'll make it static. All right. We only process this at the beginning. That's the only place it ever gets set. All right. Again, I don't like this single cam local. That was just for development, but I will change it later. That's just code cleanup. Again, I'm going to probably throw some of this at AI to see if it's got any suggested cleanups, because AI is pretty good at taking code that already works and not breaking it and making it look a little bit nicer. So I'll probably feed in my new code into that AI that I've already been working with, the Claude AI. But it works. A lot of it's a lot cleaner. This function is long as hell. It might become two functions. It may become a single camera function versus a dual camera function. I don't love that option either. But it looks like I have achieved the goals for this evening. I'm going to save that. I am going to make it. I'm going to do a quick git diff to make sure that there's nothing that seems incredibly off about what I've done. I'll probably go and git add it the way it is in here because it's working. I always like to have my working point saved, because if I break it again, I'll kick myself for it that I broke something that was working so well. Again, this is all the differences. Single cam processing there. Nothing seems out, and that's where I fixed the help. That's where I added the new option. Move some things around to make them alphabetical. Added the new processing of the -n. And then, yeah, there's some other processing of that single camera mode there. Again, I can clean that up as well. But I'm happy with it. I think this works. We're going to demo it one more time just to show how it works. So we're going to do the -h. There's the help with the new space at the end. These kind of divided into sections that make sense. Okay. And then I'm still not sure about this. I was just looking at this. I don't think this is the proper formatting for that option. So I'm gonna have to fix that to proper Linux formatting. Because like if you'll see, like if I do it like ls, no, that's not gonna work. ls -h is there? I'll have to figure out. Anyway, let's just go ahead and run this and we'll move on with our lives. So if I don't pass anything to the dash in, so no dash in, at this point this should just give me dual cameras. So that should be 2 cameras. Deal. 2 cameras. Alright, so that works. Alright, we'll kill that real quick. You wanted to know what version jetpack I'm running. Let's find it. Let's run JTOP real quick. That is not right. I think JTOP shows you. So it looks like I'm still running Jetpack 6.1 on here. I haven't upgraded to 6.2 yet. There's really no reason to jump over to 6.2 for the AGX. I don't get all the new bells and whistles and clock speeds and stuff that they added to the Nano kit. So I just haven't upgraded it yet. I'm sure I'll do it probably over the weekend or something. So this is still 6.1. All right. And then, moving back here, that was testing out dual mode. Let's say that I want to run 1 camera. Brett, I encourage you, thanks for jumping here at the end. I know you missed the beginning of the stream, but I do encourage you to watch this stream from the beginning. It will be archived both on Twitch and YouTube, so you can watch it either place. I'll make sure of it. Anyway, here is the single camera mode. Single camera mode looking good. And then the last thing I'm going to do is simply just pass it the 2 to make sure the 2 works the way it's supposed to. Checking all my command options. Yep, and 2 cameras work there. All right. So just let me wrap this up real quick, and I'm going to take off for the evening. But I really enjoyed doing this evening. I was glad to throw. I figured out how to do dual streams tonight from. Figured out how to do dual streams tonight on YouTube and Twitch. So wherever you watch this evening, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see, what are we going to do next? So next thing, this kind of concludes this goal. So the goals here, the goals here on this one were to, like I said, get it running the USB cameras. This has been 3 streams. It's been 3 streams in a row, and the goals of these 3 streams have been to get the USB cameras working, not just CSI cameras, and then to get single camera mode running as well. So I think that's going to conclude this series. I will probably go ahead and take this series of videos, edit it down into a single video for YouTube that hopefully people can use as a reference to how to kind of play with GStreamer, kind of how my development process works on this platform. Obviously, it's not really like a stream for beginners, but I do hope that beginners who have maybe never done this before kind of get a feel for what this looks like for some people. Anyway, so that'll be it. I'll be back probably by the weekend with another stream. I'm going to finish this code up. Again, just do some cleanups, do some rearranging of this code. Nothing real interesting, nothing functional. Just code cleanups where I'll be passing this to AI or just rearranging it myself to make it look nicer. And I'll clean this up. I will get this committed to my Git repo, and you'll be able to download all the code that you have seen here this evening. I'll probably get that done tomorrow evening, I hope. So anyway, thank you very much. Thanks for watching the stream, and I will catch you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed it.